A lot of the times, politicians campaign on providing jobs, and these jobs, a lot of the times, are focused on the youth, being a huge chunk of our population. The NPP, when it campaigned in 2016, the motto or the manifesto was titled An Agenda for Jobs. And when he came into office, he introduced NABCO, among other interventions, and he said that it had helped fix the youth unemployment part. Even before then, I recall Honorable Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, when he was Deputy Minister for Information, saying that the Mills government, Mills Mahama at the time, had provided or created so many jobs. Now we have President Mahama leading the NDC back into government, and he appears to also have an agenda for youth. Aside the fact that a number of his ministers are youthful, he has created a ministry specially for empowering youth. What is that ministry going to do? What is the focus? And the man behind the ministry is my guest. We'll be asking him more about what exactly he plans to fix the youth unemployment agenda and the youth empowerment agenda. What does that even mean? My name is Umaru Sandamado, and you're welcome to Face to Face, where I'm engaging the new minister for the youth sector. Please stay with us. My guest on Face to Face today is George Opare-Addo. I think he has resigned now as a National Youth Organizer of the NDC, but ahead of the elections, he was the National Youth Organizer of the NDC, the commander of the Green Army. He's been named by President Mahama as a Minister for Youth Empowerment and, Youth Development and Empowerment. He has gone through vetting. He has been passed by Parliament. He has been sworn in, and we've come to his ministry to speak to him. Honorable Minister, you're welcome. Okay. Or you should rather welcome me.
I should be welcoming
you. Yes.
You have come to my ministry.
Thank you so much. Give us water to drink. That's how we do in our traditional.
I gave you water.
Yes, you gave. So don't say other things again. You implicate.
I'll leave it here.
I don't want to self-incriminate. How are you doing?
Very well.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Youth Development and Empowerment is a new ministry.
Entirely new.
So it means you have to have a new office place. You have to have, because there isn't a place where you would go and continue. You have to set up from scratch.
Let me correct an impression. I've not resigned as the National Youth Organizer of the NDC. I am still the National Youth Organizer of the NDC. We'll have Congress next year. And so once we go for Congress, what I've made my intentions known is that I don't intend to contest again at Congress. But I currently still serve as the National Youth Organizer of the NDC.
I see. What about your deputies?
They are all still at post. None of us, we are not the only people. Almost everybody is still at post. And so I believe at our next Congress, a lot of us who have moved from the party into government will now not contest, and then other people can take over our place. But so I still go to the party office.
There is a view that usually the governments that are formed by the parties end up killing the parties that form them. And the fact that active national officers are given positions and they are going into government, the role that you would have played, because you're clearly a mobilizer, you will now stop doing that. You're going to be in government. Is that not going to weaken your party further?
I've always said that the NDC has a lot of intelligent people, well-meaning people, people with the right expertise and the right temperaments to lead in whatever field they choose to lead in. And so if George Opare-Addo leaves, I know there are more competent people, more competent than I was, to take over from me. I took over from somebody and I did the job. Somebody else will also take over from me and get the job done. And so nothing is lost. And once we go through that transition, you'll find more capable hands taking over and also doing what we've done.
But if that's the case, and you know that there are people who can replace you, why don't you resign now that you have been given a bigger job to do? Because one, people will start asking, you are youth organizer of the NDC, your priority is NDC, but you're also Minister of State. Your priority is supposed to be the state. How are you going to juggle through that? And also because you have a new ministry you have to run, why don't you leave that responsibility of youth organizer for someone who has time on their hands to do that?
Umaru, when I sit at the party office, I'm the National Youth Organizer of the NDC.
But you can sit at the party office.
I'm coming. But when I sit here as Minister of State. So I serve every Ghanaian who has needs and wants to be served. Once I get in here, I don't discriminate. And like I say, poverty does not know political color. Unemployment doesn't know NDC or NPP. And so my job here is to help develop young people, make them job ready, and also empower them any Ghanaian who comes in here, every policy I design, whatever I decide to do, I am doing it for Ghana, not the NDC. When I close at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and I choose to go to the party office, which I do very often, I go there in my capacity as national youth organizer. My job there is to mobilize my party's base. So there are two distinct roles I play.
But one side will suffer, definitely.
No, you see, that is why I'm saying that I try and make up. You know the time I get to work?
No.
When you are looking for me, 6:30 a.m. you find me at the youth office. And then I leave there at about 7:30. By 8 I'm here. Sometimes I leave here after 8, after 7 p.m. and then I go back to that office. Because I know the task I have accepted. Any day the president decides that I don't have to and I have to resign, I'll resign. But as it stands now, I'm not the first national officer who has been made a minister. When Honorable Opare-Addo was communication minister, he was still national youth organizer until we went to Congress in Tamale, and then somebody else was elected in his place.
But do you think that ought to be the case? Should you continue to play this dual role? For me, I hold a view, aside the fact that it is cumbersome, I also think there will be a split of allegiance, and also you should give chance to someone else to say. And this is not picking on you. I'm looking at officers who are giving
we all play double roles one way or the other. We wear multiple caps. The ability or your strength as a leader is the ability to be able to multitask and manage your roles effectively. You're a father, you're a husband, you're a broadcast journalist, you're a student. You try and allocate times for all this.
I'm not minister for youth.
No, irrespective. So once you accept a certain role, there are people who have multiple jobs. They do all of it to the best of their ability. I believe I'm capable. If it becomes too much for me and I have to resign, I will do so. But as it stands now, I'm very much capable.
Let's talk about this, your ministry now. Let's talk about the broad concept of the Ministry of Youth Development and Empowerment. Do we still have Ministry of Youth and Sports?
No.
So only sports now?
The EI that established this ministry established various other ministries. You know, at the beginning of every government state, it decides which ministries it's going to work with. So we have the Ministry of Sports, and we have the Ministry for Youth Development and Empowerment.
There used to be Ministry for Education with sports in there. Then later there was a decoupling where we had a Ministry of Sports and Youth. Yeah. There is a view as to why you put those together. Of course, youth and sports. So people thought that it's something that went together. Do you understand the president's reasoning for splitting it further?
No, yes, Omaro. I always situate it this way. You have 22 players who play football, and you have one leather ball. That becomes the center of attraction. All the 22 players chase after the ball, and then the one who plays well ends up scoring the goal. The Ministry of Youth and Sports was a lot of emphasis was placed on the leather ball, instead of placing emphasis on the 22 players that made the game exciting. And so the sports ministry took all the attention, and rightly so. Issues that affect young people vary, and they cut across. And so every ministry you go in, every ministry you go to, you will find an issue that affects young people. Almost every agency has one program or the other that affects young people. And so if you become Minister for Youth and Sports, and you sit in that chair, you realize that sports is a bit concentrated, but the youth issues are all over. And sports itself is also cumbersome with all its challenges. And even sports, even football alone, the Black Stars alone, could make you lose your job if you don't focus on it well. And so they come and sit in there, and then the focus and concentration is on football, on Black Stars. And so it ends up neglecting all the youth-related issues. So over the years as a country, we've pretended to be doing something for youth development. A lot on paper has been done.
But the real beneficiary is the football.
Exactly. And a lot of things have been done on paper for youth development. But there is no social impact. You cannot feel it. You cannot even see it. But when you go to the various, we've done this. If you look at the number of interventions that the NPP government did for youth development, I have a report on my table I was just reading. So many programs. Yet unemployment moved from 8.7% to 14.9% or 14.8%. So there is that big gap. And within that 14.7%, about 38% are young people between the ages of 15 and 35 who can work and are ready to work. And so what President Mahama seeks to do is trying to do is that instead of placing the emphasis on just the leather ball, let me separate it and put special emphasis on the 22 players so we can score more goals. And that is why he's built or he set up this youth ministry. And also to be able to coordinate. So this ministry more or less is a coordinating ministry. To be able to coordinate all the activities that other agencies and other ministries are doing in respect to youth development and empowerment, so that there is a central focus, and then to be able to align some of the things. Omaro, you'll be surprised to know that, for instance, there is a lot of duplicity. Agency A is doing youth entrepreneurship. Agency B is doing youth entrepreneurship. Agency C. So previously NIP, which is now the youth ministry, was sitting at the Ministry of Finance. Then the YEA sits under the Ministry of Employment. Then the National Youth Authority sits at the Ministry of Youth and Sports. And so the YEA is running a program for youth entrepreneurs. So Omaro knows George Opare-Addo. I'm the Minister for Youth Employment. He comes to me with a proposal saying he's going to create 20 jobs. So he gets funded. Then Omaro leaves. Because he's in the political space, he gets a lot of information. He goes to another agency. He knows whoever the CEO is. It falls under another ministry. He goes to assess funds with the same program he brought to the Ministry of Employment. He takes that money too. Then he goes to the next agency, let's say NIP, with the same proposal, goes to take money. So on paper, NIP has created 20 jobs. YA has created 20 jobs. NYA has created 20 jobs. But in reality, so when you add it, it's 60 jobs. But in reality, it's just 20 jobs. Because there's one person who has gone around all these ministries, same proposal, and because the ministries were not talking to each other, the agencies, because there was no coordination, a lot of people exploited the system and then got away with a lot of things. Even some of them, and also one of the things the report I was reading talks about is that there was no monitoring, there was no evaluation. So we've not been able to even assess the impact of all these programs that we've done over the last 8 or so years. And that is why President Mahama and his wisdom believe that issues that affect young people are many and varied. And so let's set up a ministry that coordinates it. And Omaro, we are sitting on a time bomb with young people. If we don't, because you see, we have an advantage of a very youthful population that can be put to work positively. If we don't turn those energies around positively, that energy becomes negative for all of us, and then we all suffer for it.
So let's talk about, so sports has been hived off, focus on sports. Education, they deal with young people. What is the relationship between your ministry and education? Because again, like I said, education used to be education and sports, and which was again youth.
I told you that we are coordinating ministry. And so there are a lot of things that education has got to do for young people. Our job is to help coordinate and see to it that we derive the maximum benefits out of it. Agric, there are a lot of programs Agric does for young people. Our job is to go and coordinate and see what they are doing and then support it. And then make sure that the right people benefit from these programs. Almost every ministry has one program or the other that affects young people. Employment. There's a whole ministry that is responsible for employment. And employment, if you're employing people, you're not only employing older folks. A lot of the workforce is young people. And so whatever they do, we must have an interest in. Communications. Whatever they do. Because this AI technology is young people that are out there in that space, that ecosystem. It's young people you find. And so our job here is to coordinate all the activities, and then somebody to be able to say that this program has happened. These are the KPIs. These are the metrics we are looking at. We achieved this. We evaluated this program. It is not really working. Let's shelve it and bring on a new one. What have we been able to do? We did 10 this year. It went very well. Let's scale it up to 50. That is the job this ministry is supposed to do.
Let's talk about the agencies under your ministry. So which are the existing agencies that are now moved onto your ministry?
The EI that established this ministry gave us 6 agencies.
6.
It gave us MASLOC. It gave us the National Service Authority, it gave us the Scholarship Secretariat, it gave us the NYA, that's the National Youth Authority, the National Entrepreneurship and Innovative Program, NEP, and then also the Youth Employment Agency. So 6 agencies.
Let's talk about the NSS, which you've mentioned. There's a brewing scandal there. As a minister, what briefing do you have? And we've heard this in the past. NSS people have been investigated in the past. Now we are seeing this investigation ongoing again. As minister, what do you think can be done to end it? The former vice president, when he was campaigning, said he had a different idea for NSS. It should not be compulsory. There are many people who think that NSS is a cash cow. Again, it's a place where people just go to make money. There's also another issue of why do you send people to go and work for 9 months, pay them so much money, and then they leave and go and do whatever they want to do anyway? What's your view on NSS vis-a-vis this current scandal that is rocking the institution?
Omar, we all went through national service. And for me, I am a supporter of national service.
Me too. I got my job through national service.
I'm
But I'm asking the question.
I'm a supporter of national service because it prepares you for the job market. It prepares you for the task ahead. If not for national service, some of us would not have traveled outside Accra to go and work. We traveled out to go to school. I went to school in Cape Coast, but then I came to Lagos and I didn't go anywhere again. But national service got some of us out of town. And it also helped us socialize in communities who never had opportunities of socializing. It also gave us that job experience. My first job experience was through national service. It opened my horizon and broadened my horizon and gave me different perspective to life. So I'm a full supporter of national service. I am not one who subscribes to the fact that because the water is bad, in throwing away the water, we should end up throwing the baby away. So no. There is a problem with national service. The manner in which the system has been run may have led to problems. Let us investigate thoroughly which is being done. And let's come out with recommendations that will not let us see what is happening again. And so I support the processes that are ongoing. I'm not going to speak to the details because the matters are still under investigation, and as a lawyer, I know what the lines are. But whatever processes that are underway, I have so much confidence in the system. I believe strongly that once the investigations are done, anybody who is found culpable must be made to face the law. And I leave it there.
Yes, but in leaving it there, the institution itself, what reforms do you think are needed at NSS?
I have met with the Acting Director General and his deputy, and we've had a long conversation. We will reform national service. And you see, we need to first understand. Luckily, the Acting Director General, has worked there for some time, so he's not new to national service. We need to understand what the problem is based on the investigative reports or the investigations that is being done by the NIB. Once that is done, we also want to do our own internal inquiries and find out what really went wrong or what has been wrong. And then we will introduce systems that are robust enough to be able to stop this.
You've talked about duplicity. There's NIP, which used to be YES, which was set up by President Mahama, with I think it was $10 million seed capital or something like that. We have seen it go through transformation to now be called NIP. Do we need an agency like that with money to be supporting entrepreneurs when we already have Ghana Enterprise,
Ghana Enterprise Agency?
Ghana Enterprise Agency. Then we also have the YEA doing its own thing. Should we not ship all the money into these existing institutions and continue with NIP?
No, they all have their mandates. And you see, like I said, Omaro, to be able to be successful on issues that affect young people, you must be intentional. The mandate of the the Ghana Enterprise Agency, which used to be NBSSI, is for small and medium-scale enterprises that are already in existence. They have their core mandate. Like I said, because things were not coordinated properly, you realize that people were shifting and doing things that was not part of their main objective. The NBSSI now, Ghana Enterprise Agency, has its core mandate of supporting small and medium-scale enterprises. The rationale behind it was to start as an incubator, an incubation hub, where entrepreneurs will be groomed, mentored, prepared, and then startup capitals given to them. It is also a hub for innovation, where people with smart ideas can come and pitch. So it is like a theme like a technological theme park where people come with all sorts of brilliant ideas, come and pitch, position themselves and get themselves ready for takeoff. And then investors, venture capitalists come around and listen to their pitches and then support them. And that is the main idea behind NIP. And that is the rationale why we started the YES. So it is for young entrepreneurs. The NBSSR, or the Ghana Enterprise Agency, is broad. Everybody can go in there and access it. But this one is for young entrepreneurs. That was the main idea. To support innovation, to support startups, to support mentorship.
But can Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology, Innovations deal with those things in one part?
The ministries themselves are not implementing agencies. A lot of the things that ministries do are done by agencies under them. So policy direction comes from the ministry. Supervision comes from the ministry. Monitoring and evaluation comes from the ministry. Whilst the agencies, which becomes the implementing agencies, do the implementation. The core mandate of YEA is to provide young people with employment opportunities and create that avenue. So if the National Youth Authority, for instance, does all the trainings and what have you, and that is what I intend to do, to realign all of them to their core mandate so that they all stay within their lane. So NYA can be doing all the trainings and all the skills development. Once they finish, they offload them to the YEA to create and look for the job opportunities for them. Whilst NIP focuses on young people who want to become entrepreneurs, who have ideas, who have innovations, where to explore. There should be a place where they can go and explore those ideas.
Okay.
And that is why NIP.
This is Face to Face on ChannelOne TV. My guest is George Opare-Addo. He's Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment. We'll take a break. When we come back, the NPP government had NABCO. I'll ask him what the plan with NABCO is. And again, YEA, what is the plan there? And the National Youth Authority too. Is it a regulator? Is it a player? What the plan is for that sector? We'll talk about that. Plus, can Mahama fix the problems of Ghana? Stay with us. You're welcome back. This is Face to Face on ChannelOne TV. My guest, George Opare-Addo, he is Minister for Youth Development and Employment. There's a Ministry for Employment already. Now we've added jobs to it. Under Akufo-Addo, used to be Ministry of Employment and Pensions. I don't know if pensions is still part there, but that would be for senior people, not your people. Jobs, why have they sent it there then at Ministry of Employment? Is it not something by developing the youth, are you not getting them jobs? Or what is the meaning of development for your ministry?
Like I told you, my ministry is just a coordinating ministry. So jobs, we are going to create jobs here. It's one of our responsibilities to create jobs and create opportunities for young people. You develop them, you train them, you prepare them, you make them job ready, market ready, and then you can now push them onto the job markets. We have a ministry that has its mandate in looking at policies, labor issues. And so the mandate of the labor ministry or the job ministry is broader in terms of policy, labor rules, labor acts, minimum wage, and all that. Our job is to train these young people, make them employable, give them the skills they require, and empower them so they're able to also join the job market. If it's jobs they have to seek, they go, and if it's jobs they have to create, we position them to be able to also create jobs. And so there is nothing wrong.
So you're going to be coordinating ministries in addition to agencies?
No. So, for instance, like I said, in every ministry, there are activities, they do programs and activities that affect young people. Our job is to also find out what they are doing and then we support them. Keep an eye on them. Coordinate it. Tell them, oh, we are also doing this, so can you partner with us? We don't need to reinvent the wheel all the time. And so, for instance, there is a program that is running in one ministry, let's say Youth in Agriculture by the Ministry of Agric. And then the NEIP wants to do something in that respect, support people in agriculture. We can just partner with the ministry. And because there is a coordinating ministry this time around, so because previously you realize that most of all these agencies that are under the youth ministry today were under different ministries. And so there was always a challenge coordinating. But
they were surviving. They were doing just fine. Why do we? Maybe that goes to the question of whether we should even have created this ministry.
What has been the impact? If unemployment was at 8% in 2016, and today is at almost 40, almost 15%. And like I told you from the beginning, a lot of interventions have gone on in terms of creating jobs for young people. But we've not seen the impact because we've not been deliberate. We've not been very intentional. And that is why this ministry has been established. Omaro, as far back as 2011, when the Constitutional Review Committee chaired by Professor Fiajo did this work, he made a recommendation in that document that we must separate issues of young people from all other ministries, because one, they are in the majority, and issues that affect them are broad and many. And so we need a concentration of efforts in that respect, because it is a big national security threat. And so if we don't pay attention, if we pretend to be paying attention to issues of young people, someday will come that it will become that monster that will come and eat all of us.
President Mahama is referred to as a nation builder.
Yes.
Nana Akufo-Addo had Nation Builders Corps, NABCO. He was recruiting 100,000 people, young people, every year for 3 years, paying them, was it 700 or 900 cedis, and then onboarding them to ministries and all of that. You are a new government. What will you do about NABCO?
What did the NPP do about NABCO? They scrapped it before they left. At the time we took over government, there was no NABCO.
But it was a good intervention, please.
No, Omaro, you see, knee-jerk reactions never solve problems. What NABCO sought to do was a knee-jerk reaction to the issues of unemployment, and because of the promises they made of creating jobs. But those were not sustainable jobs. That is what we want to move away from. And so we are not going to create those temporal jobs where you are in for a year, in your second year, there is no space for you, and then you have to go home. Because immediately they go back. They go back onto the unemployment, they go enjoy the unemployment.
But at least you would have enjoyed for 3 years and maybe possibly even get retained in that place. That was the idea.
So the amount of money we spent on NABCO, could we not have spent that money building skills and supporting entrepreneurs to create more businesses? Because, for instance...
But that's what they did, 100,000 people, so 300,000 people in total. They've trained them, they prepared them for the job market.
Okay, so what kind of training was given to them?
Oh, they were given training in Hill Ghana, Revenue Ghana, all those aspects.
All those people are still out there complaining that even their allowances have not been paid. But you see, let's leave that. Let's leave the issue of the allowances. Tomorrow, we cannot continue as a nation, pretend to be doing something when we know we are not doing it. So we do NABCO. We take them for a year. We pretend we are giving them skills training. And then after a year, they leave the program and then they come back onto the job search market and join the unemployment rate. We've not achieved anything.
You think NABCO was a pretense job?
But they themselves say it. I'm not the one saying it. The beneficiaries themselves have been on radio, even on your station. I've heard them complain. That nothing happened. No, all the promises that were made did not. And you see, we cannot repeat the mistakes of yesterday.
So NABCO is not something that will feature in this government in no shape or form.
No.
Not even something like NABCO.
We are not. See, one of the things we told the young people of this country was that we're going to create sustainable jobs. NABCO is not sustainable, so we won't subscribe to it.
So it is gone. Are you going to investigate it to see what money
NABCO
was
left
spent?
with the NPP. We didn't scrap NABCO. Okay. We didn't come and meet NABCO.
But I'm saying about there was money that was spent on NABCO. Based on everything you know, is this something you may investigate, or you are letting it slide as a government intervention that has gone south?
Every penny of the states that has been administered, either wrongly or rightly, will have to be investigated. I have always said that any time you occupy public office and your tenure of office comes to an end, you owe it a duty to the people who put you there to give account and render account of the service you provided. And so there is nothing wrong. And I will ask that the relevant authorities in charge of investigations should, because definitely the auditor will have to audit their records, make it public, and then we can all interrogate it. If there is any acts of wrongdoing, let the law take its course. If there was no wrong, let's not go and look for trouble where there is no trouble. I don't subscribe to witch hunting. But if anybody did wrong, let the law take its course.
The National Youth Authority, as I understand it, is supposed to do coordination. What's your relationship as a ministry with the NYA?
The NYA is one of the agencies under this ministry, and their job is not just to do coordination. Their mandate is broader. If you look at all the youth-related agencies, it's the NYA that has a broader mandate. They can train, they can develop skills, they can even employ, they can create opportunities. They have a far bigger and a broader mandate than all the agencies under all the other youth-related agencies. And so, it should be the mother of all our agencies for youth development.
Yes, so that's what I'm saying. So if they are the mother, then there's no need for a ministry, because The ministry is then playing the role that NYA would be
You
playing.
see, the ministry is for policy directions, and the agencies are implementing the policies that come from the ministry.
So is National Youth Authority, for instance, supposed to create jobs or work on jobs, or that will not be their mandate?
Like I told you, their mandate is way broader, so they can also create jobs. And you see, when you train, when you give skills and then you give support, indirectly you are creating jobs, because the person is going to create jobs. And that is what their mandate is.
Let's talk about one of the big agencies under your ministries. Francis Poku, at the time Minister for National Security, advised in the Kufuor government that let's set up the youth employment. It was called something of National Youth Employment Program, NYEP. Later on, under your government, it became GIDA, and now it has changed to become YEA.
And our government, it changed to become YEA.
You left it as YEA before.
We created a legal framework for it.
YEA has been stable for a while now, but the mandate is supposed to properly create jobs. I believe that that's the biggest vehicle for creating jobs. What have you found in the handing over notes or in the books? How has YEA fared? And what are you going to do with YEA now that you are minister for the sector?
I have met with the chief executive and his two deputies, and I've asked for a full evaluation report of all the programs they've run over the last 8 years. Per their mandates, all the models they run, after every 2 years, it should be assessed, whether it is doing well or it is not doing well. And no matter, time changes. You see, we are in the 21st century, where AI is taking over people's jobs. Some of the models that are being run currently will have to be re-looked at again. But we are only able to come to that conclusion when we do an evaluation of the models that are currently running. And then if we need to bring on new models that meets the demands of the job markets, we must look at it. But I've asked for that report. I believe somewhere next week we should have that report, and then we'll be able to take a good look at the whole report, do an assessment, get a technical team to look at what the report says, what impacts the various models they've run so far have been on our job market and our young people. And then those that we need to prop up, those that we need to scale up, those that we need to set aside and bring on new models, we'll look at it and take that decision.
The previous government had YEA job fairs, and then they also had this website where they say if you need a job, you go and apply to. Is that something you think you would continue with, the job fair kind of thing, or you have a different idea?
The job fair was in our manifesto as well, so certainly we'll still continue with it. And when I went to the YEA office, the day I visited Malik and his team, I told them that per our manifesto, is that we're going to create, what do you call it, employment bureaus in all the districts where people could go and assess. They have something similar already ongoing, but it's not nationwide. We intend to scale it up across the country.
But do you have jobs to put those boys? If they come and apply, they say, okay, I'm here, I've brought my CV.
No,
do we even have the jobs for them to go and take up? And again, the mindset generally is that jobs is a government job. What kind of jobs do you plan to offer as government?
So if you look at our manifesto and if you look at what plans we have, people or organizations that make themselves available on those sites and give jobs, people who deliberately employ young people, first-timers, there is an incentive we are working at, and as part of our manifesto promises, there are things we want to do for such organizations. We are also looking at starting what we call the Ejumera program, where we'll start 10,000 startups. We are looking at building the private sector to take the lead in creating of jobs, because government cannot continue to be the one to provide jobs. And are there any government jobs left out there anymore? No. And so we are going to stimulate the private sector so that they take that lead and then support them and provide those jobs that are young.
You are trying to create jobs, and yet those who you have come to meet being employed, especially young people, you are sacking them because you say that they were appointed by the previous government. That is like you are taking with one hand and giving with another.
Omaro, let's get the narratives right. You cannot give what you do not have. Every year, before people are given employment, there is a process that it goes through. Budgets are drawn, approvals are given, and then there is a recruitment regime you go through. Immediately you stampede that process. And when you put people or you give people jobs when there is no budget to pay them, when you had a whole 8 years to employ all these people and put them on payroll and get them going, you didn't do it. You wait until you lose an election and you know a new government is coming. And then in between that transition period, you decide to employ all these people and then offload them or onboard them onto the new government that is coming. When you know that there are budgetary constraints, you don't do that. And when during the transition time, when the new government even tells you that stop this last minute employment, if they've gone through a certain process, those who went through the military processes, they are still the police, they are still at camp. The prisons and the immigration and co, they are still at training. Nobody asks because we know the processes they went through. Yesterday, I heard a minister for health say that the health workers who went through the processes and were employed, nobody's going to touch them. But tomorrow, there are some organizations in this country. You go to one office. About a week ago, there was a certain lady from one of these companies who came here. And she said she's looking for a job. I said, but you have a job. She says, yes, I have a job, but I don't have a desk. Because the job that I'm supposed to be doing, they've employed 6 other people to do the same job. And so, as and when you go to work and there is a desk for you to sit on, then you go. A lot of our organizations have been overly burdened by this last-minute employments. So one office space that should take, let's say, 2 people. A job that can be done by 1 person, they've employed 4 people because we are leaving. So let's put all our people in there.
And we're also creating jobs for people. We are giving people
Omaro,
a way of... Because, mind you, these people you're sacking, you are a politician, so they are votes that you are sacking.
Omaro. The NDC got over 56% of the total votes in this country, unprecedented in our history. So we know Ghanaians voted massively for us. And most of those who voted for us were young people. But right is right and wrong is wrong. So if you are do we wait and put all these people on the payroll and when government cannot pay them, let the system collapse? I cannot understand how that's on the 7th, on the 6th of January, on the 31st of December, 7 days or 5 days away from handing over. You are still recruiting when there's been a public outcry. Stop it, don't do this. Why would you still do it and give jobs to people? Knowing very well the challenges that this is going to bring. You cannot give what you do not have.
Another agency under your ministry is the Micro and Small Loan Center, as you have listed, MASLOC. So MASLOC is supposed to give loans to people, but there's a view that MASLOC is a party wing. It's a place where political party members go to collect local fuel. Talk to us about the concept of MASLOC and what your plan is to expand it further.
Omaro, you know...
As we speak, the former CEO is supposed to be in jail.
We've always made... we've said things and then we've allowed it to slide. If I'm a politician, if I belong to a political party, am I not Ghanaian?
Yeah, so that's why you should have left the MPP employees too.
No, but we are working with everybody we came to meet. Everybody who got a job legally and did not go through those last-minute recruitments is still at post. Nobody has been sacked. So if I apply today for a loan, I have a business plan and I go to MASLOC, and because I'm NDC and NDC is in power, I have no business accessing that facility. No. We've created an impression that it is only political people that benefit from most of these organizations. Omar, you'll be surprised to note that a lot of people who get these facilities have nothing to do with politics. The issue is that because usually political actors lead in the process, the assumption is that it is for only politicians. No. But how many are we? Those of us doing politics. And so a lot more people get the access to those facilities. The whole rationale behind MASLOC is to support micro businesses, very small businesses, small tabletops. That is the whole idea, so that everybody can get it. Tomorrow, where I come from, in my village, if you give somebody 2,000 cedis, it is startup capital. And that is what MASLOC is supposed to be doing. Supporting our mothers, our sisters, our younger ones with some small funds to roll over and then turn over their businesses. I'm doing a tabletop. I have a small kiosk. I need something small. 10,000 here, 12,000 here, 5,000 here, and that is what MASLOC is supposed to do.
But governments have been accused of using MASLOC to feed its supporters. So provide motorbikes to party supporters, give small cars to party foot soldiers and all of those things. And then the MASLOC then runs at a loss, and then eventually as a country we lose money. These are some of the things we hear from MASLOC.
If I go to a village and I give a young man there an Okada or a tricycle, a Pragya, and he starts working with it, I would have elevated poverty in that family. How much does LIP give? The Livelihood Empowerment Program. 300 cities, 400 cities, sometimes 4 months, 3 months. Omaro, if I'm able to provide a young man with Okada, and every day he makes sales of even 80 cities or 100 cities, in 20 days he makes 2,000 cities. I have elevated poverty from that household. And so some of the programs we do, we may not get a recovery like we expect, but the question we should ask is, what has been the social impact in society? Has it impacted positively in society?
Okay.
And I can tell you, I was MC for 8 years. I saw the effect of MASLOC in some of our small communities. Even the Less Debt program we did. When President Mills and President Mahama introduced Less Debt, I know people today who are bakers, who are still using the ovens we gave them through the Less Debt program. And so these programs have affected lives positively. And to every side of a coin, there are always two sides of every coin. There is one side that you like, and there is the other side you may not like. Okay. But let's not run down these programs because somebody said, or because one politician. But the question is, the politicians, are we not Ghanaians as well?
My last question on the agencies under you before we take a break. Scholarship Secretariat.
Yes.
You've seen the scandals again from there. They say that you give yourselves scholarship. Your here means you, the politicians, when you're in government. How can the ordinary man's child really benefit from the Scholarship Secretariat?
And that is the new standard.
Is Get Fund also part, or is just
Get Fund is not part of the Scholarship Secretariat. President Mahama's vision is very clear. No office holder, no political appointee, even not just you or any of your family members is supposed to benefit from Scholarship Secretariat. Our target this time around, I've told the new registrar that the target is the very poor and vulnerable in society. And so you cannot go to, let's say, GIS, go to Legon or go to Ashasi University, and then you want to go to Harvard or something, and you come to Scholarship Secretariat. If you've been able to afford GIS, you've been able to afford Ashasi University or any of these private universities, you should be able to find a way and go and do your master's program wherever. Unless, for instance, you're a teaching assistant and then just what kind of program or whatever is so important that we must fund you to go and do it and come. Then it's different. But we want to reposition Scholarship Secretariat to support vulnerable people in our society. So that just like that poor woman in my village of Inchemia or my village of Kobo Kobo or Krakwejo has struggled to put his son or his daughter through school. And now he's passed, he's done well, and he has an opportunity of going to school abroad. That is when Scholarship Secretariat should come in and support such a person.
This is Face to Face on ChannelOne TV. My name is Opare-Addo. I'm here with Judge Opare-Addo, Minister for Youth Development and Empowerment. When we come back, so President Mahama says that what he saw, the economy, is a criminal enterprise of a sort. As someone who has been a youth organizer of the NDC, can they really satisfy their base? Can they solve the problems of Ghana? That's a question I'm going to ask him before we wrap up. Please stay. You're welcome back. This is Face to Face, ChannelOne TV. Judge Opare-Addo, Minister, Youth Development and Employment, is my guest. President Mahama says he wants to build the Ghana we want. What is the Ghana we want, and what are the steps you're going to put in place in the next 4 years to build that Ghana for us?
Omaro, every Ghanaian has his own aspirations. and every Ghanaian has a vision that he shares in. I believe you stated here, there is something you want, there is what you look out for. A Ghana where, one, you are free to do whatever you want to do, there are opportunities, they don't care which political party you belong to, which creed, which race, which tribe, where every Ghanaian feels a part of the system and every Ghanaian has access to whatever he wants to do, where you can wake up in the morning and dream and realize those dreams. That is the Ghana I want, and I believe that is the Ghana you may also want. That is the Ghana President Mahama envisages, and that is the Ghana he's saying, the Ghana you want, the Ghana we want. The Ghana where everybody feels free, everybody is at liberty to do what is right within the system, where there is no culture of silence, you don't feel intimidated. You know there is some new breeze around us, where people now feel free to even speak, where all of a sudden decisions from our courts are changing so fast. That is the kind of Ghana we are looking for. And so that is the Ghana President Mahama is seeking to build, and he cannot build it alone. He needs our collective efforts to build that Ghana where we will be proud enough to put our shoulders, our hands to our chest and say we are Ghanaians. That is the kind of
How is the foundation being laid? How is the foundation for this Ghana looking? He's been, what, president for 2 months or so?
1 month and a few days.
Is it easy to see that he's laid a proper foundation for this?
Omaro, I've heard many social commentators say that his decisions that he's taken in the last 1 month or so clearly reflect a certain path. And I've even seen videos on social media of school children telling their mothers that, "Ma, don't worry, now we are okay. I don't call because President Mahama has now brought good food to our schools." We've seen what us, even
and it's not propaganda.
No, I don't. You know my politics. I don't do propaganda. There is a certain sense of freedom. There is a breath of fresh air ever since President Mahama assumed office as president.
Yeah, that's good. That's goodwill, but
no.
How long
apart from the goodwill, people naturally feel free today to talk. Omaro, we all saw how our state organizations were run under President Opare-Addo. How people were scared to speak. We saw how the judiciary. Let me leave it there. But we all saw the things that happened in this country, and today. We've seen how people go about their duties freely and not scared. People could not even talk on normal lines.
We are seeing people being detained at Kawokudi.
There's
a view that...
Was he allowed to go home yesterday?
There's a view that you are going after...
Was he allowed to go home yesterday?
Yes, but another one was not allowed to go home yesterday. And the view is that you are using the state institutions to hound people.
Omaro, where crimes have been committed, it will definitely be investigated. You started by talking about the National Service scandal. Is it wrong to invite the people and detain them and find out what they know?
They say you are going after civil servants, removing them from their bungalows.
Omaro,
you are arresting people and taking them to BNI. You are trailing people and questioning them.
Omaro, the kind of ills that happened in the last 8 years. I'm not sure we've done anything wrong in inviting people legally through a legal process of asking them to come and answer questions for their stewardship. I said here that anybody who gets the opportunity to serve in any capacity, after that day, your tenure comes to an end, you must be willing to make yourself available to account for your stewardship. And if crime has been committed, if there is any suspicion of crime, there is nothing wrong being invited. Let's not, see, we've seen people being arrested with Rambo style. We saw it all under President Opare-Addo and his cronies. We saw what happened in this country.
You are doing something similar.
No. Who has been arrested in that manner?
The people have not come out to tell us
Because
yet.
nobody has been arrested in that manner. And when the unfortunate incident of Kenneth Opare-Addo's house happened, you saw the response that came from government. And so let's not misconstrue. We are law-abiding, we are doing things right, and we are not going to do things that are untied. President Mahama believes in the rule of law. We saw how Opare-Addo hunted and chased people out of this country. We lived it, we saw it. We saw the intimidation. Nothing like that has happened. Why are they running away? They should all stay.
The youth of NDC, and for that matter, the generality of the youth of Ghana are looking up to you. as Minister for Youth Development and Employment to empower them. I want you to just look at the camera and talk to them that hope is here, so that in a year or two, we would come back and say, oh, Pablo, you said you would do ABCD, you have done it. Or you said you would do ABCD, it appears you are not doing it. What went wrong?
Omar, the man whose vision I share in His Excellency President John Dramani Mahama is a man of honor and a man who keeps to his words. He made promises to the young people of this country. He promised us a very youthful cabinet, we have it. He promised us that when he gets the opportunity to be president, he's going to establish a ministry for youth development, and he's done it. The task and duty he's given me is to create opportunities and create jobs for all young people out there, irrespective of which political party you belong to. Hope is here. And as young people, believe in the process, believe in the system. In the coming days, we'll be rolling out our various programs. The Jumera is coming, the National Apprenticeship Program is coming, and the 1 million coders program is coming. Please, as young people, take advantage of this, and let's all build the Ghana we want. Time to reset Ghana. Time to put Ghana to work. Thank you.
Can we put numbers to it? Can we say in the first year or 2 years, this is how many people you are estimating to employ or have employment?
You see, we are looking at training first. Training 1 million coders. Training people through the National Apprenticeship Program. And then starting 10,000 entrepreneurship. If I say I'm going to put figures to it, I may get it wrong, I may get it right. But what I know is that at least if we're able to do the 10,000 Ejumera startups, a minimum of 5 people per each will up the numbers. If we're able to train our 1 million coders and we're able to find works for them and push them even into entrepreneurship, we'll be creating jobs. We are looking at training close to 250,000 apprenticeships every year. If we're able to do it, we are looking at about 1 million apprenticeships in 4 years. Once he becomes an apprentice and becomes a master, he creates jobs. We intend to tackle the unemployment problem that confronts us as a people. And it's going to be holistic. It's not going to be knee-jerk. And so I want to assure them that we'll create opportunities, we'll create jobs. Let's all take advantage of it, and let's partner and build for all of us the Ghana we want.
George Opare-Addo, one of the few non-MPs who managed to make it on the list of 60 ministers. Thank you for joining us on Facebook.
Thank you too, Omar.
Your prayer must have been a very...
President Mahama rewards hard work.
But he was doing 60 and you came from outside Parliament. You got congratulations.
Thank you.
That's how we enter this edition of Face to Face, which came to you from Channel One Television. My name is Umaru Sandamadu. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week.